The Awakening. Emerges empire. In a distant corner of the galaxy, long before the human fleet became known to the stars, there existed an empire shrouded in mystery. This was a time when old powers ruled the vastness of space, and legends spoke of an awakening that would change everything. In this tale, the empire was slowly emerging from the shadows, and its rise would soon send ripples across the galaxy. The empire was born from the remnants of a lost civilization. Its people had once lived in a time of great prosperity, but now they were scattered and forgotten. Over the centuries, small groups of survivors had wandered the galaxy, carrying the memories of their past. They whispered of a time when their ancestors had reached great heights, only to fall into despair and darkness. But in the heart of these wanderers, hope still burned like a small flame. On a barren planet at the edge of known space, a young scholar named Arlen spent his days studying ancient texts. He lived in a modest village, far removed from the bustle of the great interstellar cities. Arlen was curious by nature, and he believed that the old legends were more than just stories. He thought that hidden within the faded words of history lay the secrets of a power that could restore honor and strength to his people. One quiet evening, as the twin moons rose over the dusty horizon, Arlen discovered a scroll that spoke of the Great Awakening. The scroll told of a moment when the empire would rise once again, a time when the lost knowledge of the past would merge with the promise of the future. The words stirred something deep within him. Arlen felt a sudden urge to travel, to find the place where this awakening might begin. He believed that by following the clues in the ancient text, he could help his people reclaim their lost glory. Arlen began his journey with a small group of trusted friends from the village. There was Mira, a skilled healer with a kind heart, and Joran, a brave but quiet fighter who had once served in the local guard. Together, they set out into the unknown, guided by the faded directions of the scroll. Their path was long and fraught with challenges. They crossed barren landscapes and dark space routes, all the while wondering if the awakening was only a myth. As they traveled, the group encountered other survivors who had heard of the scroll. Some were old warriors, while others were craftsmen and farmers. They all shared the same hope, that the lost empire would rise and bring peace to the galaxy. Slowly, word of Arlen's quest began to spread, and more people joined him along the way. The small band of travelers grew into a modest army of believers. Meanwhile, in the heart of the galaxy, powerful forces were stirring. The old empire, though weakened by time, was not entirely forgotten. In secret chambers deep within ancient star fortresses, leaders of the emerging empire began to awaken from their long slumber. They were wise and determined, carrying with them the old traditions and values of their people. They saw in Arlen and his companions the spark that could ignite the empire's resurgence. The awakening was not sudden. It was a gradual process that unfolded as more people remembered who they once were. In remote corners of space, hidden communities began to gather, sharing their knowledge and skills. They built small outposts, repaired old machines, and studied the ancient ways. Every small act of remembrance added to the growing power of the empire. It was as if the galaxy itself was watching, waiting for the moment when the lost civilization would stand tall once more. Arlen and his friends continued their journey with the hope that they would soon find a place of great importance, a forgotten city that held the keys to the empire's revival. They faced many dangers on their path. There were rogue bands of mercenaries and mysterious space creatures that lurked in the shadows. Yet, despite the risks, the group pressed on. They knew that their mission was more than just a search for old relics. It was a quest to rekindle the flame of a long-dormant hope. As the days turned into weeks, the small army of believers finally arrived at the outskirts of a ruined city. The city, once a magnificent hub of activity, now lay in silent decay. Vines and dust covered its grand structures, but even in ruin, there was a sense of nobility. Arlen felt his heart beat faster as he stepped into the abandoned halls. Here, he believed, lay the secrets of the awakening, the knowledge that would bring the lost empire back to life. In the dim light of the ancient corridors, Arlen discovered carvings and inscriptions that told the story of the Empire's former glory. These relics of the past spoke of honor, strength, and the unyielding will of a people who never lost hope. They told him that the awakening was not just a return to power, but a renewal of the spirit that had once made their civilization great. Thus began the true awakening of the Empire. As Arlen and his companions studied the ruins and shared their findings with the growing number of followers, a new chapter in the galaxy's history was written. The hope of a lost empire was rekindled, and the seeds of a great future were sown. The journey had just begun, and the echoes of the past promised that the Empire would rise again to change the fate of the galaxy forever. The mysterious signal. Deep in the silent void of space, a strange signal broke through the normal hum of cosmic background noise. In the command center of the newly forming human fleet, alarms softly began to ring, and screens flickered with an unusual pattern of lights. The signal was not like the regular communication or data transmissions they were used to. It pulsed slowly, almost as if it were alive, a rhythmic beacon from an unknown source. Captain Rylan, a calm and determined leader, stood at the helm of the command center. He had seen many odd occurrences during his long service, but nothing like this. His eyes fixed on the blinking monitors that displayed the signal's coordinates, far beyond the familiar borders of human space. "Prepare the scanners," he ordered in a clear, measured tone. The crew, trained for any unexpected event, worked quickly and silently, their movements precise and deliberate. Dr. Elena, the fleet's lead scientist, leaned over a console as she studied the data. "This signal has a structure," she murmured, her voice betraying both excitement and caution. "It seems to follow a pattern, almost like a language. But it is not made by any known technology." The room fell quiet as her words sunk in. For the first time in many years, a new mystery was unfolding before them, one that could hold the key to a forgotten past or a future yet unwritten. Outside the command center, the vastness of space offered little comfort or explanation. The starry expanse, usually a canvas of beauty and order, now seemed to hide secrets and potential dangers. Every crew member felt the weight of the unknown as the signal's pulses grew stronger and more persistent. Whispers of old legends and half-forgotten prophecies crept into the minds of the people, adding to the growing sense of anticipation. Captain Ryland decided that the fleet must move closer to the source of the signal. With careful planning and a sense of urgency, a small but skilled group of ships set course for the distant coordinates. Among them was the shuttle led by Lieutenant Murrah, a pilot known for her steady nerves and quick thinking. As her ship veered through the dark sea of stars, every crew member braced for what they might discover. The journey was tense and filled with silent contemplation. The crew replayed old tales of mysterious forces and secret civilizations, a common lore among those who believed in the legendary rise of a great human fleet. Every tale, once thought to be myth, now took on a new life as the signal's existence confirmed that there were still many secrets left in the galaxy. Some crew members recalled that this signal might even be linked to the ancient awakening described in old scrolls and hidden records. On board Lieutenant Murrah's shuttle, the navigation systems showed an uncharted region ahead. The vast emptiness was suddenly punctuated by a dim light that grew larger with each passing minute. The crew exchanged nervous glances as the light resolved into a massive, derelict structure orbiting a dying star. The vessel was unlike anything they had seen before, an old, abandoned craft that exuded an eerie, timeless presence. Its surface was pockmarked by cosmic battles and the relentless passage of time, yet it still emitted the mysterious signal. As the shuttle came to a careful stop near the structure, the crew prepared for a landing. Captain Ryland's voice came through the communicator. "Proceed with caution. This could be a relic of a forgotten era, or something far more dangerous." Every step was measured, every decision weighed against the potential risks. The crew disembarked into a landing bay that felt more like an ancient ruin than a part of a modern fleet. Inside the structure, dust danced in beams of pale light that filtered through cracked windows. The walls, covered with faded markings and alien symbols, hinted at a long-lost language. Dr. Elena's recordings showed that the signal's pattern matched some of the symbols on these walls, a link between the craft and the coded message that had drawn the fleet here. With every careful step, the crew uncovered hints of an age when the galaxy was filled with advanced beings and powerful empires. The signal, now clearly coming from a central chamber, grew in intensity as the crew approached. In the center of the room lay a strange device, half buried in rubble and encased in a thin layer of dust. It pulsed with a steady glow, each pulse sending ripples of energy across the chamber. The device did more than just emit light. It transmitted a message. The pattern of pulses began to form what looked like simple words, an invitation or a warning from the past. The crew struggled to understand the language, piecing together fragments from their knowledge of ancient civilizations. Some believed it was a call for help, while others thought it was a sign that the empire they had only dreamed of was now within reach. As the team worked through the night, the atmosphere in the chamber shifted. There was a feeling of awakening, as if the structure itself was coming to life. Shadows moved on their own, and the soft hum of energy filled the silence. Captain Rylan, standing at the entrance of the chamber, felt a deep connection between the device and the fate of his people. This signal was not just a random occurrence. It was the beginning of something much larger, a hint of the human fleet's destiny. With hearts filled with cautious hope, the crew gathered around the device. They knew that understanding its message could unlock secrets that would reshape their future. And so, as the mysterious signal continued to pulse steadily in the darkness, the human fleet took its first true step into a new chapter of history, a chapter filled with wonder, danger, and the promise of a rising empire. The gathering of heroes. In the wake of the mysterious signal and the startling discovery aboard the ancient craft, whispers of destiny began to spread throughout the human fleet. The brave and curious felt that this was more than a chance encounter. It was a call to rise and unite. Slowly, a group of heroes gathered, each drawn by a deep desire to uncover the truth behind the signal and to embrace the long-awaited awakening of their people. Captain Rylan, known for his calm strength and steady leadership, took it upon himself to rally those who believed in a higher purpose. He saw that the fleet was not simply a collection of ships, but a community of souls eager for hope and change. With a gentle yet firm voice, he addressed his crew and the many who had gathered near the newly discovered relic. "This is our moment," he declared. "We have been called to bring light to the dark corners of space and to revive the spirit of our lost empire." Among those who answered the call was Lieutenant Mara, whose steady hand and brave heart had already been proven in the approach to the ancient structure. Her eyes shone with determination as she stepped forward to join the gathering. "I have seen the unknown," she said softly, recalling the strange pulses of light and the eerie hum within the ruined halls. "Now I am ready to stand with you and face whatever lies ahead." Dr. Elena, the fleet's knowledgeable scientist, played a crucial role in uniting the diverse group. With her calm intellect and endless curiosity, she became a beacon for those who wished to learn more about the ancient messages hidden in the device. "We must understand the past to secure our future," she explained during one of the meetings held on the main deck. Her words struck a chord with many, and soon, experts in history, language, and technology gathered around her to help decode the puzzling message. The gathering was not limited to military leaders and scientists. Ordinary citizens, farmers, artisans, and former engineers also came forward, their hearts filled with a yearning to be part of something greater. Among them was Arlen, the young scholar whose discovery of old texts had sparked a flame of hope in his village. Arlen had traveled far from his home, guided by legends and the desire to see his people rise again. With his quiet determination and a deep understanding of the ancient ways, he found a new purpose among these heroes. As the heroes met in a grand hall within one of the fleet's larger vessels, a sense of unity grew among them. The hall, illuminated by soft, ambient lights, echoed with passionate discussions about the future. People shared stories of hardship and loss, but also of hope and resilience. Together, they formed a council where each member could voice ideas and concerns, ensuring that every perspective was heard. The council decided that the first step would be to decode the signal and to explore its origins. They formed specialized teams, each with a clear task. One team, led by Dr. Elena, focused on analyzing the ancient device and its cryptic pulses. They pored over every detail, using simple tools and basic techniques, confident that even the smallest clue could lead to a breakthrough. Another team, led by Lieutenant Mara, was tasked with preparing for a deeper expedition into the uncharted regions where the signal had originated. They studied maps, coordinated with engineers, and checked their ships carefully. Mara's team was determined to face any danger that lurked in the dark spaces between the stars. Captain Rylan himself took on the role of unifying the groups. He spent long hours walking the decks, speaking with crew members, and ensuring that every hero, whether a seasoned warrior or a humble scholar, felt valued. His leadership was not based on strict orders, but on shared dreams and a common destiny. His belief in the power of unity gave strength to all who joined him. As days turned into weeks, the heroes began to form strong bonds. They shared simple meals, exchanged stories of their past struggles, and celebrated small victories along the way. In these moments of camaraderie, the idea of a revived human empire started to feel real and within reach. They began to see themselves not as isolated individuals, but as a family united by a common mission. The gathering was more than just a group of people, it was a symbol of hope. Each hero, regardless of their background or role, brought something essential to the mission. Arlen's deep knowledge of ancient lore, Mara's fearless determination, Dr. Elena's careful analysis, and Captain Ryland's inspiring leadership blended together to form a powerful force. Their simple words and actions showed that even in a vast and unpredictable galaxy, unity and purpose could light the way forward. In the quiet moments before another expedition, the heroes would often stand together, looking up at the stars. They knew that beyond the familiar constellations lay the unknown, where dangers and wonders awaited. But they also knew that they were no longer alone. With the gathering of heroes, the spark of a new beginning had been lit, a beginning that promised to awaken not just a lost empire, but the very spirit of humanity itself. Thus, with courage in their hearts and determination in their eyes, the heroes prepared to follow the signal deeper into the mysteries of the cosmos, ready to write the next chapter of their epic journey. The unexpected encounter. As the human fleet continued its journey guided by the mysterious signal, a new and unforeseen event changed the course of their mission. The fleet, with its heroes gathered and united, moved steadily into an uncharted region of space, a place where no map or old story could lead them. It was here, in the silent vastness beyond familiar stars, that the unexpected encounter took place. The lead ship, under the command of Lieutenant Mara, was the first to notice an anomaly. A tiny blip appeared on the radar, a small dim light that grew steadily larger as the ship advanced. The crew, already on edge from the long voyage, exchanged looks of quiet concern. Mara ordered the ship to slow down and bring it closer. As they approached, the crew could see that the light was not a star, nor was it a simple piece of space debris. It was a vessel, ancient and forgotten, floating alone in the dark void. The vessel was unlike any technology the fleet had seen before. Its metal surface was dull and covered in layers of dust and cosmic ice. Strange markings and symbols, similar to those found on the ancient device they had discovered earlier, adorned its hull. The ship seemed to breathe an aura of mystery. Captain Rylan, who had arrived on the scene with a small team, led the boarding party onto the unknown craft. Inside the vessel, the corridors were long and silent. The air was stale, and every step echoed against cold, empty walls. The crew moved carefully, their flashlights revealing hints of past glories, broken panels, faded murals, and relics of an era long gone. Dr. Elena, who accompanied the team, took careful notes and photographed every detail. She could not help but feel that this ship held secrets that might unlock the true meaning of the signal. In one of the central chambers of the vessel, the boarding team discovered a large hall that had once been a place of gathering and command. Now it lay in ruins, with broken screens and silent consoles scattered about. But in the center of the hall, something unexpected caught their eyes. A glowing orb suspended in midair. The orb pulsed with a soft, blue light, radiating warmth into the cold space. It was clear that this was no ordinary artifact. The orb seemed to communicate in its own silent language. As the team watched, the light within it began to flicker in patterns, reminiscent of the mysterious signal that had drawn them here. The patterns pulsed in a rhythmic beat, echoing through the vast hall, as if calling out to the people who now stood before it. The encounter felt both awe-inspiring and dangerous. The orb held the potential to reveal ancient knowledge, yet its purpose remained unclear. The orb's glow grew brighter, and the markings on the walls of the chamber seemed to respond in kind. As if in a moment of deep connection, the orb emitted a low hum that vibrated through the floor. The crew could feel the energy in the room rising, and the air itself began to shimmer with the promise of hidden power. Dr. Elena and her team quickly set up portable devices to record the orb's light patterns, hoping to decode its message. Suddenly, a sound echoed through the chamber, a soft, rhythmic tapping that came from deep within the ship. The sound was not made by any crew member. It was as if the vessel itself was waking up. The tapping grew louder and merged with the hum of the orb, creating a symphony of sound and light that filled the vast hall. For a moment, there was silence everywhere, broken only by the echoing beats of the mysterious rhythm. Captain Rylan, always cautious yet filled with a sense of wonder, ordered the team to hold their positions. He spoke in calm tones. "Let us not be hasty. This ship, this orb, they are part of a story much older than we can imagine. We must learn from them, for they may hold the key to our future." His words reassured the team, and together they stood in silent awe of the unexpected encounter. In that moment, the crew realized that the encounter was not a mere accident. It was a turning point, a meeting of the present with the echoes of the past. The ancient vessel and its glowing orb had awakened something long dormant, setting the stage for revelations that would soon alter the fate of the human fleet. The mysterious encounter promised that the journey ahead was filled with both danger and promise, as the secrets of the lost empire began to reveal themselves in the most unexpected of ways. The Battle of Wills. The quiet unity of the heroes soon gave way to a growing tension among the ranks. While many believed in the promise of the awakening and the ancient messages, doubts began to surface. Not everyone was certain that following the mysterious signal was the right path. In the dark corridors of the fleet's command center, whispered debates grew louder with each passing day. The battle that was about to unfold was not fought with weapons alone. It was a battle of wills. Captain Ryland stood in the center of the main strategy room, his face etched with concern. Maps of distant galaxies and old star charts were spread out before him. He listened intently as his officers argued over the best course of action. On one side, there were those who believed that the signal was a beacon of hope, a call to arms that could lead to the revival of their lost empire. On the other side, many feared that the signal was a trap set by unknown enemies, meant to lure them into danger. Lieutenant Mara, ever the voice of reason, spoke calmly. "We must trust our instincts, but also our knowledge of the past," she said. "If we act in haste, we might endanger everything we have built." Yet, as the debate continued, it became clear that deep within the hearts of many lay a struggle between fear and hope. Some believed that every moment spent waiting was a moment lost in the face of a threat that could be growing stronger. Meanwhile, Dr. Elena and her team worked tirelessly to decode the signal and the message from the glowing orb. Late into the night, in a small laboratory aboard the flagship, they studied the patterns and symbols. "This is more than just a call for help," Dr. Elena murmured as she adjusted the dials on her recording device. "It is a test of our resolve. The ancients left this message so that only those with true determination and belief in our legacy could understand its full meaning." Her words, though meant to reassure, only deepened the divide among the heroes, as some began to question whether they had the strength to meet such a test. In the midst of these internal battles, a sudden alert brought everyone to attention. A group of enemy ships, cloaked in darkness and moving with silent precision, had been detected on the edge of the fleet's perimeter. Their appearance confirmed the worst fears. The mysterious signal had attracted more than just hopeful explorers. It had drawn the attention of dangerous forces, the enemy fleet, determined to stop the human awakening, prepared for a swift and merciless attack. The tension in the command center was palpable as Captain Rylan ordered immediate defensive maneuvers. "All hands, prepare for battle," he commanded in a firm tone. The heroes quickly sprang into action. The debate of earlier was suddenly replaced by a unified focus on survival and the protection of their future. The enemy ships, sleek and armed with powerful energy weapons, advanced through space like silent predators. As the battle lines formed, the human fleet moved with a mix of determination and uncertainty. Lieutenant Mara led her squadron into the fray, her ship darting between enemy fire and the dark void of space. Explosions lit up the black canvas, and the sound of clashing energy beams filled the control room with an urgent symphony of war. Yet, even amid the chaos, the fleet's resolve did not waver. On board the flagship, Captain Rylan watched the battle unfold on a large screen. His eyes followed the progress of every ship, every maneuver, as the enemy pressed their attack. He could see that his people fought not only with the power of their advanced technology, but also with a fierce belief in the cause. This battle was not just a physical confrontation. It was a test of spirit, a struggle to prove that the human will could overcome even the darkest of odds. Below, on the deck of one of the smaller fighters, young Arlen felt the weight of the moment. His hands gripped the controls tightly as he navigated his ship through a barrage of laser fire. The simple words of the ancient texts he had once studied echoed in his mind, urging him to be brave. In that intense moment, Arlen realized that every decision he made was a part of a larger cosmic destiny. Even as the battle raged on, doubts continued to whisper among the ranks. Some questioned whether the enemy was a punishment for disturbing old powers, while others believed that these foes were merely guardians of secrets that were never meant to be revealed. The internal conflict of wills was as fierce as the physical battle, with every commander and crew member fighting to hold on to their personal vision of what the awakening should mean. In a critical moment of the battle, Dr. Elena's team managed to decipher a key part of the signal. It revealed a hidden vulnerability in the enemy's formation, a small window where their defenses were weaker. With this new knowledge, Lieutenant Mara adjusted her tactics, and a coordinated attack was launched. One by one, the enemy ships began to falter under the unexpected assault. The tide of the battle shifted as the human fleet, united by a shared belief and bolstered by the clarity of their purpose, pressed their advantage. The battle of wills was far from over, but in that moment, the heroes found strength in their unity. The enemy, taken by surprise, retreated into the darkness, leaving behind a quiet that was filled with both relief and a deeper understanding of the challenges ahead. The victory was not absolute. It was a reminder that the true battle was for the hearts and minds of all who sailed the stars. As the fleet regrouped, Captain Rylan addressed his crew with a steady voice. "Today, we proved that our will is unbreakable. We have faced our fears and emerged stronger. But remember, this is only the beginning. Our true challenge lies in embracing our past, our destiny, and the future that we will shape together." Thus, the battle of wills ended, leaving behind scars and lessons. The human fleet had not only defended itself against a dangerous enemy, but had also taken a significant step toward awakening the true power of their forgotten empire. The Galactic Showdown. The calm before the storm was short-lived. With the enemy retreating earlier, the human fleet knew that this was only a small victory. The true challenge was now upon them, a final confrontation that would decide the fate of their awakening empire. The fleet gathered once more, preparing for a showdown that would stretch across the dark canvas of space. In the heart of the fleet, Captain Ryland stood before his officers in the command center. His voice was firm yet gentle as he spoke. "Our enemy is regrouping. We must be ready for a battle that tests our courage and our unity. Today, we show the galaxy what our spirit is made of." His words filled every room and every ship with a renewed sense of purpose. The battle ahead was not only about weapons and tactics, but also about the belief that the human will could never be broken. Lieutenant Mara, known for her steady nerve and sharp mind, led the preparation of the fighter squadrons. Her team checked every engine, recalibrated every sensor, and made sure that each ship was ready for the coming storm. "We fight not just for our lives, but for our future," she told her crew, her voice echoing across the quiet hangar bays. Every pilot, technician, and soldier shared her determination as they took their positions in their battle-ready ships. The enemy fleet emerged from the depths of space like a dark tide. Their ships, sleek and cold, glided forward with a silent menace. They brought with them weapons that shone with deadly light and shields that hummed with power. The clash of these forces in the vast emptiness was unlike any the human fleet had ever faced. It was a true test of strategy, skill, and heart. As the first shots were fired, the space around the fleet lit up with bursts of energy. Explosions rocked the darkness, and bright flashes of laser fire illuminated the faces of the brave men and women on board. Captain Ryland watched the unfolding chaos from the command center, his eyes filled with both worry and pride. He saw every move, every risk taken by his crew, and he felt a deep connection to each one of them. In the midst of the firefight, Dr. Elena's team continued to work behind the scenes. They had discovered one final clue hidden in the ancient symbols decoded from the orb. This clue revealed a weak point in the enemy's battle formation, a small gap that could be exploited. Working quickly, she sent the new information to Lieutenant Mara. With this key insight, Mara adjusted her strategy. Her orders were clear: target the vulnerable spots and disrupt the enemy's lines. The battle grew more intense as ships danced through the void in daring maneuvers. Arlen, the young scholar-turned-pilot, found himself at the heart of the action. His hands moved over the controls with a mix of fear and excitement as he navigated his fighter through a barrage of enemy fire. Every decision he made in that moment felt like a step toward a larger destiny, a destiny that had been foretold in the ancient texts he once studied. His focus was absolute, and his resolve was as strong as the will of the entire fleet. As the two forces clashed, the space around them became a battlefield of light and shadow. Explosions scattered fragments of metal and energy in every direction, and the hum of engines and weapons filled the air. Amid the chaos, the human fleet worked as one. Coordinated attacks, precise maneuvers, and the strong bond of unity began to turn the tide of the battle. The enemy's sleek ships found themselves caught in traps of well-planned tactics and the unexpected strength of human determination. Captain Ryland's leadership shone through in these moments of crisis. He communicated constantly with every unit, offering guidance and encouragement. His voice was the steady heartbeat of the fleet, ensuring that no one felt alone in the fight. "Remember why we are here," he reminded his crew. "We fight for our past, for our future, and for the promise of our awakening empire." His words were simple, but they carried the weight of history and hope. In one of the most daring moves of the battle, Lieutenant Mara led a small group of fighters in a direct assault on the enemy's command ship. This bold move created confusion among the opposing forces. The enemy's formation wavered as their leaders scrambled to respond. Mara's squadron broke through the defenses and struck a decisive blow. With the command ship in disarray, the enemy fleet began to falter. Slowly but surely, the human fleet gained the upper hand. The enemy, realizing that they could no longer maintain their tight formation, started to retreat into the vast darkness from which they had come. The skies of space, once filled with danger and despair, began to clear. However, the cost of the battle was not forgotten. There were losses on both sides, and every scar told the story of bravery and sacrifice. As the last enemy ship vanished into the distance, the human fleet took a collective breath. The galactic showdown had ended, leaving behind a quiet that was both peaceful and solemn. Captain Rylan addressed his crew one final time in the wake of their victory. "Today, you have shown that our spirit is unyielding. This battle has tested our strength and our resolve, and we have emerged victorious. Let this victory remind us that when we stand together, no force in the galaxy can break us." In the aftermath, as the fleet tended to its wounds and repaired its ships, a sense of hope and renewal spread among the people. The battle was a turning point, a clear message that the human fleet was ready to face any challenge in the quest to revive their lost empire. With the enemy in retreat and their spirit strengthened, they now looked toward a future where unity and courage would light their path across the stars. The new dawn. In the quiet aftermath of the fierce battle, a new light began to shine on the horizon of the galaxy. The human fleet, battered but unbroken, now stood on the threshold of a future filled with promise. Captain Rylan, Lieutenant Mara, Dr. Elena, Arlen, and the many heroes who had fought so hard gathered together to mark the beginning of this new era. Their shared victory over the enemy was not just a military win, it was the spark that would ignite a lasting change across the stars. As the fleet slowly repaired its ships and mended its wounds, a feeling of hope spread among the crew. The fierce battles of the past had taught them the strength of unity. In every conversation, in every shared meal, and during quiet moments under the starlit sky, the message was clear. The spirit of humanity could rise again. Captain Ryland stood on the main deck of the flagship, gazing out at the vast expanse of space. His eyes, filled with both fatigue and determination, reflected the hope that now pulsed through every ship in the fleet. He addressed his people in a clear, strong voice. "Today, we mark the start of a new dawn. We have fought for our past and defended our future. Together, we will rebuild our empire and bring peace and honor back to our place in the galaxy." His words were simple, yet they resonated deeply with every listener, from the highest-ranking officer to the newest recruit. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Mara prepared her fighters for one final task. Rather than planning another battle, she organized a fleet-wide exploration mission. Their goal was to visit the ruins of ancient cities, long abandoned yet rich with the wisdom of the past. Mara believed that by recovering old knowledge and lost technology, they could build a brighter future. The team set out in smaller ships, venturing into the unknown with cautious optimism, ready to uncover secrets that had lain hidden for centuries. In the scientific labs, Dr. Elena and her team worked to understand the mysterious signals and the strange device they had found. Their research revealed that these ancient messages were not warnings of doom, but calls to awaken a long-dormant spirit of unity and strength. Every new discovery filled the scientists with excitement. They began to piece together a history that connected the lost empire to the present, a history that showed how the courage and determination of their ancestors had set the stage for the human fleet's revival. Arlen, the young scholar who had once dreamed of a lost golden age, took on a new role as the keeper of ancient lore. He traveled from one newly discovered ruin to another, recording the stories etched into crumbling walls and broken artifacts. His simple language and clear explanations brought the old legends to life for everyone who listened. Through his work, the forgotten wisdom of the past was slowly being woven back into the fabric of the human story. People began to see that the past was not a series of dead events, but a living guide to creating a better future. As weeks turned into months, the fleet's renewed purpose became clear to all. The victories in battle had shown that strength came not only from advanced technology and firepower, but also from a deep connection to history, unity, and the hope of a shared destiny. The human fleet was no longer just a band of survivors. It was the seed of a new empire, one built on the ideals of courage, cooperation, and the determination to learn from the past. Across the galaxy, distant worlds began to take notice. Rumors of the human fleet's new dawn spread among neighboring star systems, and many came to witness the change for themselves. Ambassadors from other civilizations arrived, curious about the rebirth of a people who had once been underestimated. With open hearts and cautious minds, they exchanged knowledge and culture, laying the foundation for a network of allies who shared the dream of peace and progress. In the Grand Assembly held on the flagship, leaders from different branches of the fleet gathered to set the course for the future. There, they planned not only how to rebuild and explore, but also how to ensure that the mistakes of the past would never be repeated. They discussed simple, practical ways to govern, to educate, and to create a society that balanced the lessons of history with the promise of tomorrow. The assembly was marked by a spirit of democracy and shared responsibility, where every voice was heard and every idea was valued. As the new dawn spread its light, the human fleet looked to the stars with fresh eyes. The scars of war and the weight of past doubts were healing, replaced by the promise of a united future. Captain Rylan, standing proudly at the helm, declared that their journey had only just begun. "We have awakened our true spirit," he said. "Now let us move forward together into a future where our legacy is not defined by the battles we fought, but by the unity we have forged and the hope we carry into the galaxy." And so, with hearts full of hope and minds set on progress, the human fleet stepped into the future. The new dawn was not just a time of rebuilding. It was a time of rediscovery, where every star in the sky whispered the promise of endless possibilities, and where the spirit of humanity shone brighter than ever before.